How's it going? My name's Chapman. I'm truly excited to be here. It's funny because I wasn't sure. So I speak for a living. I've spoken at South by for the last decade. I was super sad when it was canceled. It was the right thing to do. And then when I heard this event was going on, I was like, okay. I'm like, so I want to talk about being human. Do I shave today? Do I dress up like I usually would when I'm giving a keynote or teaching a class? And I said, well, no, we're all dealing with something here that we haven't dealt with before. I'm like, I'm gonna rep Wheaton College, where I'm an instructor of business and management in our department. I thought about going outside and doing this just to give a different perspective, but it's pouring rain on the first day of spring here outside of Boston, so that wasn't possible. But if you don't know me, please find me at cc_Chapman on pretty much any social network you use. I've been online for a long time. I've done a lot of online teaching, instructing, spent years as a marketer, and ran my own agency. I've worked with a lot of different things. Seeing memories pop up this past week from my time in Austin has been really difficult. I did a book launch there 7 years ago at the Iron Cactus for all the South by people who know what I'm talking about. And it was really hard because when I heard about this event going on, and I was like, well, what do I want to talk about? And what can we talk about in the midst of our new reality that is hard and difficult and is just starting and we don't even know where it's going to go yet? And I thought about it. I said, okay, so self-promotion, right? I wrote this book with the amazing Anne Hanley. She is so smart. I'm so glad she called me to write the book. And this book we wrote, Content Rules, in 2009 it came out. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I have to point out, opening up with my beautiful Chinese newsletter, New Year's envelope, we had this rule that said, speak human. And I remember it was one of our rules. And when we wrote the book and when we were first writing it, we said, we were trying to put together these 13 content rules that we thought would be evergreen enough that everybody, no matter who they were, with their marketing efforts, their content efforts, could focus on. And our editor at the time was kind of like, do you really want to put this thing that says speak human? It felt like it was talking down to people, that maybe it was a little too blunt. And Anne and I stuck to our guns and said, no, we're going to put this in there because people don't get it. Marketers don't get this. And it's true. And unfortunately, it's still the truth that people don't, they forget they're human. And it's a balancing act. It's always been a balancing act. But I wanted to kind of make this timely and focus on the things that we're trying to figure out right now. So today it's all higher ed speakers. And I come to you, as an instructor of business and management. I teach marketing. I teach digital marketing. We're a small liberal arts college here outside of Boston. And so I have the pleasure of teaching students from every possible major. I love it. So there's advice for them. There's advice for marketers out there who might be watching, both for higher ed and elsewhere. I'm trying to focus the talk on everything. And I said, ditch the slides. I was like, and then I thought maybe I'll put up pictures of my puppies. They may show up at some point. They love to come on web calls, but let's face it, right now, puppies and kitties are keeping us sane. So I want to keep it real. I want to keep it direct. I want to keep it honest. Anybody who knows me knows this is me. This is how I am. So here's the thing. Here's what I want you to think about. I want to, rather than going tactical, because there's so many great tactical sessions today, I kind of want to focus more broader and focus more practical. I am going to hang around. I know there's a delay, so we can't do live questions. I like to leave lots of time for questions. I know there is a little bit of delay. Like when I'm saying this now, there's probably 3 to 5 minutes before you see it. So I will make sure when I'm done talking, I'll jump in to the discussion on YouTube. And you can ask questions there, and I'll hang around for a while and text them. You can always email me too. I'm really hard to find. cc-chapman.com, you can get a hold of me. But here's some things I want you to think about. Every one of your customers right now, doesn't matter if it's a student, doesn't matter if it's, you're trying to sell something to them, they're all stressed. They're confused. They're scared. We all are, right? I mean, let's face it. I guarantee you not a single one of the speakers speaking today or any of the people you're watching right now that are watching, this is not your priority, right? There's other things going on in the world that are keeping us focused. I'm a parent. It's been really difficult dealing with the fact of, keeping my kids safe while also preparing to teach online next week when Wheaton goes online teaching next week. There's different distractions. So right now, realize you've got to proceed with caution, because no one's focusing on what you're trying to sell or talk to them. So keep that in mind. You're not their priority. You've got to be careful. One thing I really want to stress, be careful with humor. This is true always. Humor is a difficult thing. It is, talk about a razor's edge where, yes, making people grin, making people silly, good stuff. But there's that really razor thin line where you don't know if you're going to offend somebody or not. And right now, emotions are high, right? All of us are stressed to a level we haven't been in a long time. So be very, very careful with humor. Playful, fun, that's one thing. Making jokes, gallows humor, I'm personally not a fan of it. Some people play that game. So just be careful. Be very aware of what you're doing. Now, so let me ask any of you, I know you can't answer, but any of you got any emails from any brands over the last week? Thinking of you. In light of the situation, thinking of you. You know why they're doing those? Is because at some point they put together a content calendar and they've been told because always keep engaging your audience. And yes, that's marketing 101. Yes, you have to get engagement. Yes, you have a content calendar. We preach about putting content calendars together to think about, to plan out your content. Well, you know what? Hitting pause is rarely a bad idea. So all those messages that are coming out, if you're going to send one, be very human about it. Yes, if you're a public company, yes, if you're a higher educational institution, you've got to be careful. Run it by your PR people, run it by your lawyers, all those things. Yes, pay attention to those things, but realize fewer words is usually better. I'm amazed at these sort of thinking of you operations are going on. We're here to serve you emails that are this long, right? I don't need 20 paragraphs. Get to the point. So if you're going to send one of those, be aware that everybody's sick of them. And I still like this. I bet you if I went to my inbox right now, I'm sure somebody's got them. I know you have all got them. When I talk about speak human, what I'm talking about right now for sure is that you need true, honest compassion and empathy. I think about literally like one of my last memories at Wheaton in the near past was right before spring break happened. It was right at the beginning of spring break. And I saw the admissions staff and they all had their baskets, right? And I go, wait, are those admission letters? And they're like, yes, they are. And they were psyched and they were excited and they went and mailed them. And I know there's tons of people out there who mailed those. And there's tons of parents who are getting those. A year ago, I was getting those acceptance letters and getting all excited as my daughter eventually decided to go to Arizona State. I was all excited, getting those letters. And I think about now the fact that those all these kids are getting these letters. And there's these admission staff going, well, what do we do? Do we check in on them? The fact that, a virtual tour is not the same as an on-campus tour. It just isn't. This is not the same as sitting in a room with other people. But we're all going to adapt and overcome. It is something, I live and breathe that we're going to figure this out. But make sure you still have compassion. You're human. And you can do, like the speaker before me did a fantastic job talking about Instagram stories and Snapchat, and all those pieces of content are great. And right now, but just think about it. Now you got to be very careful about what you're talking about. Just think about it. You can still show stuff. You can still think about, show memories. If someone loves your school or is thinking about coming to your school, they want to see things. Don't forget, you can reimagine content you've already created from the past. Bring it back, share those great memories. Like, oh man, a year ago we were having Welcome to Wheaton Day, or a year ago it was spring weekend, share those things. And Instagram stories are a great way of doing it because the threshold to creating the content is not a huge jump. I also want to remember, speak the way you speak. It's funny, I thought about bringing up, if you're a Foo Fighters fan, I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan. Long live rock and roll, man. Dave Grohl, the lead singer of Foo Fighters is a rock band. If you don't know, last year the year before broke his leg, was out on tour sitting in a throne, literally sitting on a throne with his leg up in a cast playing rock and roll music. And they sent this email out saying, hey, we're canceling our tour. Lots of those emails flying too. But what I loved about it was so blunt and honest from him. He dropped some F-bombs. Well, okay. So, all right. So you're seeing me and hearing me okay?
I am indeed.
Okay, so my whole computer just shut down, the entire computer. So I'm now on my phone. So want to talk about adapt and overcome? That's what we're doing here. So I just, oh boy, you gotta love technology. But that's the thing. I'll stop spinning because that'll be bad. Let me sit back down. That'll prevent me from So I'm just holding it. So I apologize now. But what I was talking about, wow, I can't believe this. A reboot. Here, by the way, if you want a technology tip, make sure you reboot your computer before you do web conferences, which I did. Shut everything down, airplane mode on my phone, everything. But still had to do this way. So roll with it. We'll be okay. Always have a backup plan. Always have a plan B. That's important. So what I was talking about was the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl. What I just meant was he sent this email out, and it wasn't the standard, hey, we're sorry, we're canceling. I'm gonna try setting this phone down, otherwise you're gonna have me shaking the whole time. Bookshelf to the rescue, baby. And he was being honest. He spoke from the heart. He just said, listen, I wish we could do this tour too. We can't do it. We'll be back next year. You can write that way. You can be honest. You can be direct. You don't have to have it all be legalese and fine-tune language. Be human. Speak to the humans. Your students, your customers, whatever they are, they're nervous and stressed too. The other thing too, so here's the thing. It's going to be a really hard time getting back to business. Now, I'm an optimist. I'm a realist. Things might be tough for a while, but we've got to get back to work at some point. And what I mean by that is, like, Monday we're starting classes teaching online, and I've been talking to students left and right about, how are you doing? How are you coping? Your customers are going to be that same way too, where they're not quite sure. You do have to get back to business. Not every email has to be about selling stuff. Not every email has to be about, hey, we're dealing with this too. At some point, you're going to have to start reaching out to people. I'm teaching a class this summer, currently planning. We have a business and technology immersion experience where we bring high school students from around the globe into our school, and I teach them. And we have other teachers too. I don't know if that's happening right now, because let's face it, promoting that right now, that could come across as really insensitive. But at the same time, we are still figuring out, okay, what happens this summer? We're hoping to still do it. We're not promoting it necessarily, but we're also not talking about it. And at some point, though, we are going to have to get those gears turning. So keep an ear, keep an ear to the train tracks, keep paying attention, see what other people are doing, and slowly get back into it. But at the same time, you don't have to totally shut down everything you're doing right now. I saw this morning, one of my favorite websites in the world is a site called Gear Patrol. Well, they just review products. That's what they do. They review products, technology, outdoor stuff, all that stuff. 5 p.m. every day, an email comes out with their blog post for the day. Their CEO sent a note last night that said, listen, we debated long and hard if we should keep creating content or not. Let's face it. Do you really care about new gear right now? And he said, but we realized people need other things right now. And it's true, right? I mean, yes, we can consume all the content we need about our current world situation, but we also need other things, puppy videos, fun music videos. We need all that content. So if you're creating stuff, keep creating it. Yes, it's going to feel weird. It doesn't have to promote, though. Don't forget that. I think that's the difference. If you're creating content and putting it out and it's not tone deaf and it is aware of what's going on, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can share those sort of things. You can create stuff like that. But if you are in a position to help, that's awesome too. I know I saw there's this, sorry, I'm a bourbon fan. I love bourbon. And bourbon and tequila makes me happy. And what time in the morning? 10:15. Nice, Cece. But here's the thing. There's this little small distillery in Windsor, Vermont called Silo Distillery. Makes some of the best bourbon outside of Kentucky I've ever had. And what I thought was interesting the other day, I saw this email come from them and I went, oh, great. Another one of those. We're dealing with it. No, what it was they said, hey, guys, we realize we're in a position to help. So we're going to start making hand sanitizer. If you don't know, one of the main ingredients in hand sanitizer is high, over 60% alcohol. So distilleries make some really good alcohol, grain alcohol, Everclear, those sort of things. That's what happens with a distillery process. Sorry to the scientists, it may not be the first. I'm sorry. I can already hear the Wheaton biology professors and chemistry yelling at me. But they've started creating hand sanitizer, and they've told locals, come, bring your shampoo bottles. And there's like a limit, and they're being really good, but they're helping. And we're seeing more and more of that happening. And if there is a way you can help, do that. So don't be afraid to do that. I also think, if you're creating content that could help, do that. Like GoRuck's another company that I love. They make backpacks and apparel. Their tagline is building better Americans. They do lots of fitness stuff too. But what I love is they've started doing workout of the day. They're making these little short 1-minute videos of workouts you can do from home and sharing them over Twitter. Now, yes, they hope, let's face it, they want to sell products eventually, right? So does Silo Distillery. So does Gear Patrol. They all want to sell products, but none of them are saying buy our products. They're creating content that helps people. That's always good advice. That's not just a now advice, that's an always advice. Create great content that people go, huh, I like that. That's useful. Huh, now when I go to buy something, maybe I'll buy from that company because they helped me before. Be those people, be the helpers. I am wired to be a helper. It's just how I am, it's in my DNA. Small town New Hampshire kid, I help people. So figure out how you can help your constituents. How can you help those incoming freshmen that you hope, first years, they're gonna show up in the fall? What questions might their parents be having right now? I can't imagine being a parent of a senior right now who all of a sudden they're like, what's going on with the school? Is the school going to be open? I mean, it's a scary time for us all, but then to try to move forward with life on top of that. So keep thinking like a human. One of the tests I always say for people is listen, always ask what if, no matter what you're doing. Hey, let's make this fun campaign with this. Let's do this crazy thing with this. And I've done some crazy campaigns over the years. I was part of the team sending out fake vials of blood and other vampire stuff to promote True Blood, or doing weird stuff for Coca-Cola. Be careful. Ask what if. Play the what if game. Say, what is the worst thing that could possibly happen? What's the craziest reaction somebody might have? And go down those rabbit holes. Because I tell you, I promise you, it is much better to ask those questions in a conference room than it is to deal with it on Twitter a day later when you launch it and the entire internet comes after you. Much better to do it. So ask what if. Who might be upset by this? Make sure, please, too, because this is something where everybody falls down on. Make sure that room or those people you are asking the what if to are truly inclusive and diverse. Age, race, religion, creed, color, superhero status, all that stuff. Because I don't know how many times I bring up in class a story. I start all my classes with anything in the news catch your attention this week. Monday, when I ask that question, it's going to be really tough. But when I ask that question, so many stories come up where it's some marketer or somebody used a hashtag or a term that they didn't realize what the term meant. Good little tip, be careful if you go down this rabbit hole. Check whatever phrase or wording you're using against something called urbandictionary.com. Sometimes it means something different than you think it does. Be careful. Just be aware that we're all humans. We all act differently. We all react differently. And right now, things are much more tense than they've ever been. So listen, as you watch more today, Virtual South by Southwest, as you cope with everything the world going, I just wanted to tell everybody, be safe, be well, wash your hands, right? A lot. The good part about having to stand up and do this in the last minute is that I'm not touching my face. When I sit at the desk, I touch my face. But listen, seriously, if you have any questions, cc.chapman@gmail.com, find me there or find me on social. Like I said, I'm going to go down. My computer is rebooted now, and it seems like my home internet is working again. So I'm going to jump into YouTube. Thank you, Verizon, for having a stable internet connection on my phone. And I'll jump into YouTube now to answer any questions. But please, everybody, stay safe out there and don't forget the humanity in what you're doing. I promise, if you do stuff smart, amazing things will happen and we'll all be okay. So Nikki, thank you for having me. And thank you guys for watching and dealing with the weirdness. I can't wait to watch it on the replay.